Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So on CookieCast, it's the Laces Out podcast, our NFL podcast. Me and Paul are going through games from week 17 of the regular season, and we are previewing the week 18 games, the last week of the regular season before the playoffs begin. And the playoff picture is still fairly open at the moment. Places are sort of locked, but there's still a lot of moving around of things to get done before it's all locked in. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. That's the one we like. Share the podcast around. If you know somebody that likes the NFL, send this podcast in their direction. They might even thank you for it. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Laces Out.
Well, a holly jolly. Not really anymore. Christmas is done and dusted. Christmas Day, American football has been and gone. It was delightful. I'm reliably informed. It was fantastic. However, New Year's is just around the corner. I don't really think that actually affects the football in really any way. Will the Thursday games be affected by it?
No, because Thursday games are
no more. The Saturday
no more.
Anyway, it's the Laces Out podcast from us here at CookieCast. We are saying, I hope you had a fantastic Christmas if you do Christmas, and if you enjoyed it, good times. Maybe it wasn't for you, and maybe you thought, little podcast to take the edge off, and here we are. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Paul Williams. He's wearing a festive jumper. Just leave that there. The most festive of festive jumpers. We are here to talk about week. I definitely didn't look it up. It'll be week 17. I believe that's what the stat said anyway. I've 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row, I've gone into the stats and come back out. But yes, it's week 17 in review, and unfortunately, it's that fateful time of the year where we will be previewing the last game of the regular season, the last week of the regular season. And I was asked the question, do we know what the playoff picture looks like at this point in time? And my answer was, no, I think it's still undecided. I think it's still open. I think there is still, like, the wild card was still up for grabs at one point.
So, obviously, this gets us into the slightly murky depths of week 17, which obviously we'll cover in full very shortly. But the AFC playoff picture is, to all intents and purposes, done and dusted with one thing. Well, I say one thing. A couple of things to be sorted out. So, the Broncos have won the division, and the Patriots have won the division. They're both on 13.
Who saw that coming at the start of the season?
Let's put it this way. If you'd have put that on as a double, you'd be sitting on a pretty penny at this particular point, I would say. So, they've both won their division. They're both 13-3. So, if they both win their respective final games of the season, the Broncos will have the number 1 seed. The Patriots will be the number 2 seed. The Jaguars are at 12-4 and are in the postseason,
again,
but have not but have not won the division. So they're currently the 3rd seed, but can be potentially the 7, 8. It depends how the other games go, basically.
Yeah.
But as it stands, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the 4 seed, with the Baltimore Ravens missing the postseason. However, they play each other in the final game, and it'll basically be winner goes in, loser goes home. So, and they will be the 4th seed. So, 1, 2, and 3 still to be decided. 4 is sewn up with whoever it is that wins the AFC North. And then we've got the Texans, the Chargers, and the Bills as the 5, 6, 7. So the Chargers can go as high as 5th seed, as can the Bills. The Texans could be the 3 if they win and Jacksonville lose. And then obviously there's whoever wins out of Denver and New England in their respective games. So that's the AFC side of things. NFC is basically the same. So Seattle, they're currently the number 1 with a 13-3 record. You've got the Bears and the Eagles who have won their divisions with 11-5. They're 2-3 respectively. And then you have the Carolina Panthers at 8-8, currently on the 4th seed, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on 7-9, knowing that if they were to beat the Panthers, they should win the division, as long as the Falcons don't beat the Saints. So this is where it gets weird. So,
which is mathematically unlikely, because
but this is the thing. So the Panthers are kind of in the best position here, because obviously if they win, that's fine, that's done and dusted. But even if they lose to the Buccaneers, they would still win the division if the Falcons beat the Saints, because the Falcons give them the tiebreaker on strength of opponent or something like that. So it's very, very strange. It's a very convoluted scenario, and one that we could probably get into, but it would probably take us from now until the turn of the new year to get to the bottom of. So, yes, Seahawks, currently the number 1 seed, but they play the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco, and it's basically winner takes the division. So as it stands, the Seahawks are the number 1 seed, but they could be as low as the 5, depending on how their game against San Francisco goes. And in reverse, San Francisco are currently the 5, but they could even be the number 1 overall if they win. Chicago and Philadelphia, the 2 and 3, they will switch depending on how their final games go. We've covered Carolina and we've covered Tampa Bay as the only other 2 teams that can get in the NFC South. And then the 3 wildcard teams will be made up of San Francisco or Seattle, based on who wins, the Rams, and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are locked in as the 7th seed. The Rams should, in theory, be locked in as the 6th, but I think if the 49ers lose, I think the Rams might overtake the 49ers. Would need to look at that again. That'll go on the tiebreakers and stuff like that. So, yes, the playoff picture is done, but there are still a couple of things that need to be sorted out. So no one's in a guarantee. Strange enough, the only team that's in a guaranteed position in the playoffs is the Green Bay Packers. They are guaranteed to be the 7th seed in the NFC.
Well, at least it's not come down to the last week of the regular season, because that would just feel ridiculous at this point in time. Saying it now, hands down, weirdest season. Hands down, weirdest season.
It's been strange. I'll give you that. It has been very, very strange.
Teams that for one better way of putting it, had forgotten existed are like, yeah, we've won the division, so now what? And you're like, I didn't even know you were still here. Teams that you're like, there's your Super Bowl right there, aren't in it anymore. And there are some teams that are milling around the middle that you're like, you need to poop or get off the pot. Either do something or go away. You're just wasting everybody's time. And it's all going to be in that last week of the regular season when everything gets sorted and squared away. And then you can finally look at the playoff picture and go, yeah, I've still got no freaking idea who the Super Bowl is going to be. And then we're going to playoff football where we can then go, who's winning it this week? Do you know? Because I don't. For a series of weeks until the whole thing's done and dusted, and we end up with what I'm sure is going to be. I'm just saying it now. We are going to end up with the most random Super Bowl. I wish I'd saved the results. I'd seen a thing that was like asking AI, like your chat GPTs, your Copilot, I think there's another one that's milling around at the moment, asking them who the Super Bowl is going to be this year. And it was like AI was about as committed as we would be at this point in time, because it's like there's a lot of factors involved. But if we were to try and put it into a picture right now, it would more than likely be, and then it just dropped to, based on the statistics of this player, this team has and it was like, it just went by the numbers. And it was literally, the first one was the Broncos versus, I have a feeling it was like the Broncos versus the Eagles. And I think the second one was the Bills versus the Seahawks, maybe. And it was like, it basically did that. We can just keep generating possibilities from this. Right. Yeah, so even the thing that the world is putting all of its faith into cannot predict what this year's Super Bowl is going to be. It can just tell you statistically, by the numbers, this is where it looks. Anyway, we are looking too far ahead at this point in time. Week 18 is too far ahead at this point in time because it's just too random. So let's take a moment. Let's go back to when our bellies were full of Christmas dinner and talk about what happened in week 17. I predicted some games. Paul predicted some games. We had some side bet action. We had some money, player talks, player plays, money on the line. And after last week where there was a win in the money column, find out what that looks like. So let's get to the business. First off, absolutely, who won the week?
So, like Mr. Cook said, both of us made 16 selections. And from those 16 games, between the two of us, 7 teams let us down.
Yikes.
There were only 2 games where we picked differently. So I'll go through the 5 teams that collectively let us both down. We both had the Lions to beat the Vikings. That was incorrect, and that was a bad loss for the Lions because it completely removed them from playoff contention.
Yeah.
We both had the Packers to beat the Ravens. No good. We both had the Steelers to beat the Browns. No good. We both had the Buccaneers to beat the Dolphins. No good. We both had the Bills to beat the Eagles. No good. And we both had the Rams to beat the Falcons. That's 6 of those 7 games that I discussed that we both got incorrect. Now, the maths there should tell you that those 2 games that we both picked differently may have gone 1 for you and 1 for me. Those respective games were, I picked the Texans to beat the Chargers. You picked the Saints to beat the Titans. So we both got 1 wrong there, which meant that we both ended up on 9 from 16, and we get another half point.
A freaking tie at this point in the season. This is not it.
It's
half point.
It is what it is, my friend. It is what it is, Mr. Cook. That is just the way. That's the nature of the beast. So yes, a half point each, moving you to 6 points for the season, and myself to 11. Overall standings wise, it means that you have correctly selected 167 of the 256 games we have predicted so far. I have correctly predicted 172 of the 256 games we've predicted so far. Side bet wise, we came in with a gap of 9 points between the two of us. You were on 42 from 64. I was on 51 from 64. You had a good week, I would say. You had the Patriots to beat the Jets, the Bengals to beat the Cardinals, the Jaguars to beat the Colts, and the Buccaneers to beat the Dolphins. So 3 out of 4 isn't bad. It's pretty good. Moves you to 45 from a possible 68. I started off very strong. I had the Broncos to beat the Chiefs. It kind of all unravelled from there for me. Something as I had the Steelers to beat the Browns, the Rams to beat the Falcons, and the Packers to beat the Ravens. So I only got 1 point from the side bet this week, which moves me to 52 from a possible 68. Moves you well back within contention. That only moves you 7 points behind now. So obviously we've got week 18 to come, and then we've got all of the playoff games. How we'll do the side bet, that will change slightly because obviously there's less games to be choosing from, so we might have to change up the side bet slightly as we move into the playoffs. But still there to be won, still there to be played for. That just leaves us with week 17's Bankers and Outsiders bet. So let me just bring up Sky Bet. Obviously, like Mr. Cook said, we did have the winner in week 16, so we had £10.50 going on to our latest selections. Now, what did we have here? We had, just have to scroll past the football bets that I made, as they were neither help nor ornament. So, it was my honours to have first go at the Bankers and Outsiders last week, and my outsider pick of the 11-10 Houston Texans to beat the Los Angeles Chargers was a good one. My banker pick of the Detroit Lions at 1-3, however, not quite so good. Andy's banker of the 1-9 Denver Broncos to beat the Kansas City Chiefs was also very good. Sadly, his outsider of the 11-4 Washington Commanders.
Oh my days!
Did mean that our bet was done by the end of the first Christmas Day fixture.
Oh,
obviously, it was not followed up well by the fact that I had the Lions and they also shut the bed. So sadly, that £10.50 that would have netted us somewhere in the realms of 100 pounds, sadly, is now lost to the ether forever and a day. So yes, sadly, no winning for us this week. But in week 18, we will go again, and we will look to make some funds back. That's week 17. From our perspective, done and dusted. But I know for a fact, because I can see them on my screen in front of me, that Mr. Cook has stats to go through. And I will pass you back over to Mr. Cook to start us with those stats, potentially right now.
So, Stats Mistress up against it today. We were unavailable for the majority of the day, getting home late, and was just time was not on our side. However, she can make magic. She can make it happen. She is clinch player. So, NFL Week 17 stats for the 2025 season. Credit in bold this week. Credit to Nate Davis of USA Today. However, the real credit goes to Stats Mistress for these delicious stats. And we start with number one. The New England Patriots wound up with their first AFC East title in 6 years by Sunday's end. Their 42-10 rout of the New York Jets made the Pats the second team, along with the San Francisco 49ers, to have 3 undefeated seasons on the road since the 1970 AFL-NFL merger. Number 2. The Las Vegas Raiders now occupy the top spot of the 2026 NFL Draft after decisively losing Sunday's game to the New York Giants in a matchup of teams that were 2-13 entering the weekend. Just an aside there, a little bit of controversy around that, I believe, with regards to a certain Las Vegas Raiders player who was posting to social media about how he was listed as being injured. Not too injured to play basketball on social media, though, and, raise some concerns, let's say. Number 3 drops down to number 2. 2 playoff spots remain available heading into week 18. Basically, the still unclaimed titles in the AFC North and NFC South. It seems like the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers, plus the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, will decide who wins those crowns on the field. See, we've already been through this. Unless the Atlanta Falcons keep winning and throw a major wrench into the NFC South showdown. If all 3 teams finish 8-9, the Panthers win the division due to a 3-1 record against the other 2 squads. Again, it falls into that category of, do we really understand how the NFL score all of this? Number 4, the Minnesota Vikings had 3 net passing yards in their Christmas win over the Detroit Lions. Disgusting, quite frankly, who were eliminated by the Vikes despite their defensive effort, which included 7 sacks for minus 48 yards of Minnesota rookie quarterback Max Brosmer. Number 5, the Steelers could have used wide receiver DK Metcalf Sunday in a game loss 13-6, the lowly Cleveland Browns, following his suspension. Pittsburgh, which had just 160 net passing yards in its defeat, blew a chance to win the AFC North and will now have to do so by sweeping the arch-rival Baltimore Ravens in Week 18 at Acrisure Stadium. 6, Patriots quarterback Drake May threw a career-high 5 touchdown passes on Sunday in what was something of a historic performance. Was it enough to cap a league MVP resume? I believe he was benched after his 5th touchdown. And my final stat for the week, New Orleans Saints quarterback Tyler Show outplayed fellow rookie quarterback Cam Ward of the Tennessee Titans on Sunday while leading the Saints to a fourth straight win. New Orleans wide receiver Chris Olave certainly thinks Show should have done enough to be the offensive rookie of the year. There you go. Over to you, Mr. Williams, for some more delicious stuff.
Yes, indeed. So, Ravens running back Derrick Henry has rushed for 200 yards in the game 7 times, as he did during Saturday night's victory in Green Bay during his 10-year career, the most in NFL history. His 216 yards were the most ever by an opposing player at Lambeau Field. Henry also tied his career high with 4 touchdown runs against the Packers and now has 122 in his career. And that's the 4th most of all time. With 2 more, he'll overtake Hall of Famer Marcus Allen for 3rd place. But maybe the craziest stat from Henry's huge night was his career high, in the NFL anyway, 36 carries. That is outrageous. Does anybody want to win the NFC South? The Bucs, who've won the division every year since 2021, have 7 defeats in their last 8 outings. Carolina last won the division in 2015, when they also reached Super Bowl 50, which was staged in Santa Clara, California, as it will be this season. The same is true of the Denver Broncos, who won that Super Bowl, Peyton Manning's final NFL game. Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence has rushed for 9 touchdowns this season, nearly doubling his previous career high of 5. His team will claim the AFC South with 1 more win. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen, 29, accounted for his 300th career regular season touchdown on Sunday in his 127th game, making him the fastest ever to reach the 300 mark. The defending Super Bowl champions now cannot earn the NFC's number 1 seed. Yet they didn't have it last season either, and that worked out pretty well. The Broncos and Seahawks need 1 more victory to secure them in the AFC and NFC respectively. Super Bowl 48 rematch, anyone? Maybe not with the same opening. The Houston Texans became the only team to make the playoffs on 2 separate occasions following an 0-3 start to their seasons. And the final start of the week, which is good, but definitely one of those, we're going to make up a stat, ladies and gentlemen. Per NBC, the Niners quarterback Brock Purdy became the first player ever to pass for a touchdown, rush for a touchdown, and throw a pick 6, all in the first quarter of an NFL contest. Yes, whilst that is impressive, that is definitely not a stat that needs to be recorded, because when is that ever going to happen again?
No, like I say, the day that the WWE and the NFL stats people join forces, the stats that are going to start flowing into our ears and eyes are going to be off the charts. There we go. Week 17 is now in the book. It is in the history books. It's behind us like the Christmas leftovers. It's gone. But we've got week 18 and New Year in the forward direction. We are going to talk about that in a moment. But before that, we're going to take a little refreshment break. I've already been through 2 drinks while we've been doing this, purely from the excitement alone. So we're going to take a tiny refreshment break and we're going to come back refreshed and ready to talk to you about week 18. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Boom. Literally a second. A second for you, like 90 seconds for us. It's just that quick. I'm not going to say it. we all thought it. I just can't say it. I've gone through my quota for today, I'm afraid. So, terrible point in time for a sip, but hey, I'm an enigma. Week 17 done, week 18 to come. I have sent my predictions over to Mr. Williams, and I believe there was also some little bit of banker outsider action. I'm aware of that much. I did that thing this week where I was like, oh, there's a game that I'm definitely predicting different to Paul, because there are certain teams I know you'll never predict. And then I was like, hang on a minute. No, we're getting down to the wire. You're going to be checking wind speeds. You're going to be looking at who's been benched on certain teams. You're going to be in that position of, this is a real bad move for that team. There'll have been I'm almost sure a protractor will have been used at some point in time. So I don't know which way the wind may blow in the Williams household right now, but the only way to find out is for Paul to tell us what the book looks like, how close we are to a tiebreak situation.
Right, so that's the book right there.
Very neat.
I'm sure there'll be anyone that's able to zoom in on the sheer 4x optical zoom. I don't really know. So week 18, the final week of the regular season. 16 games, as it has been for the last 4 weeks of the season. 16 picks for myself and Mr. Cook. Like we said, no Thursday night game this week, as it is the final week of the season. So all the games are played across Saturday and Sunday. We don't even have a Monday night game.
No,
this weekend, ladies and gentlemen.
Jam-packed.
I can only presume that is because if you had a Monday game and then one of those two teams ended up being in the post-season, they get less rest. I mean, I know it's only 24 hours, but still, you could either put them at a disadvantage to the other teams.
There is also a scheduling thing. Like, I'd seen something the other day where they were talking about the fact that teams don't know their schedules at this point in time because they're still waiting on placement so that they can then decide when games are played.
It's one of those weird things where they obviously know who they're playing. They just don't know the time slot that they're placed into. Obviously, sometimes you can guess it. Like, so West Coast teams obviously won't be playing at the 6 p.m. sort of, well, 1 p.m. slot as it would be over there. It wouldn't even be 1 p.m. It'd be 10 a.m. based on time zones and whatnot. But what we would class as the 1 p.m. or, like I say, the 6 p.m. slot. So those teams generally won't be playing at that sort of earlier time because it's too early in the day.
Yep.
So 2 games picked for the Saturday slate, and it's two of the games that have something riding on it. It's the Panthers at the Buccaneers and the Seahawks at the 49ers. It's kind of bookended. The weekend is bookended, really, because the Ravens-Steelers game is the Sunday night fixture, and that's the other game that has implications from a player perspective. So, the Panthers-Buccaneers is the first game of the weekend, and it's also our first difference of opinion of the week. Mr. Cook has taken the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the home side. I have taken the Carolina Panthers. They are the away side. Now, the only reason I've taken the Panthers is because it was covered in the stats. The Bucs have lost 7 of the last 8 games. Something is not right with that team.
I say it every week. They need to get something going. They need to get a game won. They need to get this. They looked, and by they, I think we all know what we're referring to here. He was gonna come back and win it for the Bucs, and instead that chip is just weighing him down far too much at this point in time. Baker is not getting it done. It's coming through in absolutely everything at this point in time. So I went with the side of I feel like I'm saying it every week. If they're going to get something done, now's the time to get it done. Going down to week 18, but also, let's be real, there was probably not a lot of situations where I was prepared to pick the Panthers. So,
Mr. Cook, not a fan of those blue scamps from North Carolina. Our second game, also a game with massive playoff implications. The Seattle Seahawks traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers in a game where the 49ers know if they win it, they pretty much sort the number one seed. The Seahawks are already the number one seed, so they know if they win, they will be the number one seed. So this is definitely not winner take all, because the team who doesn't win also goes into the postseason, but it gives you that massive advantage of home field throughout the play. And even though the Seahawks are currently in possession of that number one seed, we have both gone with the 49ers to win this one. I've got a really bad feeling about this.
do you know something? That's the exact reason I picked the 49ers. I have a horrible feeling about this game. Now, this might come across as strange. The San Francisco 49ers have the ability to be as banged up as humanly possible, yet walk away from a game with a win. And it's got to the stage now where I think I'm actually bothered by it. I think I'm a little bugged by the fact that they can turn up absolutely battered and bruised and win a game. Looking at this game, if the Seahawks win, the Seahawks put themselves right at the top of that contender picture. If the 49ers turn up and limp their way through to a win, in a way, it's kind of what both teams need. The Seahawks just need to cool their jets a smidge, and the 49ers probably need to secure that additional win, and then they can both go their respective ways from this game and be like, well, we're here now. We're both going to the bigger picture, and it can all be sorted out in the postseason. But I have a horrible feeling about this game.
Yes, I've over the years I've made my feelings on the San Francisco 49ers perfectly clear, so we don't really need to go into that any further. But needless to say, I want to see no part of the San Francisco 49ers as the one seed, or them to be anywhere near the Super Bowl. Thank you very much. We move to the Sunday slate of games, and the first 6 are in the early window. So we have the Saints at the Falcons. We both have taken the Falcons to get the win there. Subsequently, if that were to be the case, the Buccaneers cannot make the postseason regardless of if they win or not. So if the Falcons win, the Buccaneers are, what's that phrase? That's right, get fucked. So they need to hope that they can do their job and then pray that the Saints can do them a favour on Sunday. We don't think it happens.
Nope.
Next up, we have the Browns at the Bengals, and because he didn't get it against the Steelers, Myles Garrett goes into this knowing that he needs a whole sack to break the single-season sack record that currently stands at 21 and a half, 22 and a half. So, they got the surprise win over the Steelers last week. We don't think they'll get what would be the surprise win against the Bengals here. We have both gone with the Bengals as the winners in this one. We have the Colts at the Texans, and we've both gone with the Texans. The Titans at the Jaguars. We've both gone with the Jaguars. Packers, excuse me, at the Vikings. Now, we have both gone with the Packers, but I have seen that the Vikings on this one are actually the massive favourites, and I have seen, because I have him in fantasy, Josh Jacobs is slated to not play in this one. So this has the feel of the Packers are going to rest anyone who is even remotely an injury concern. So they're probably not going to start Jordan Love at quarterback. I mean, Malik Willis played really well against the Ravens by all accounts and stuff like that. So it's not as if they're going to be weakened in the quarterback position, because he got a lot of plays for him. I think he was most of their rushing attack, to be fair. But concerned would be my thought process if I was a Packers fan. Not for anything like that's really going to matter in the long term in the scheme of things, because obviously, like we said, they're already sewn up for the 7th seed. They can't improve, so they can't get a home game no matter what happens. So yeah, why not just kind of throw the game?
Yeah.
Really, get your starters fit, and then they might have to go to Chicago, Philly, whoever it is that's the number 2 seed, for their tilt in the first round of the wild card in the playoffs. So we have both gone with the Packers, but in hindsight, it might have made a bit more sense to go with the Vikings on that one. And our last game of the 6 p.m. slot sees the Dallas Cowboys traveling to New York to take on the Giants. We've both gone with the Cowboys on that one. No great shit. No great surprise as to why. Giants look awful.
Yeah.
They got a win against the Raiders in, Jesus Christ, what could only be described as an absolute joke of a game, really. But never mind. So that's the 6 p.m. slate done. Move to the 9 p.m. the 9 and 9:25 slate, and our first game sees the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Now that, to all intents and purposes, sounds like a bit of a nothing game. The Bills can't improve their seeding. I mean, they can improve 5th, 6th, or 7th, but they can't get a home. They can't get a home game unless they finish as a 5th seed and end up playing against 6 or 7. But this is the final game at the Bills Stadium, as they are due to move into their new facility from the start of next season.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting side point to that is the fact that they think that Josh Allen may not take part in the game in any shape or form, obviously because he needs to be rested ahead of the when the playoffs start. So as it stands, where are they? They are currently, oh god, everything's reset, so I'm having to join back into the NFL app. So they are currently the 7 seed. So as it stands, if everything finished as it was, they go to New England. Now, like we've said, there is an incentive to the Bills to win this game. I mean, they could probably beat the Jets with one hand tied behind their back, because the Jets are awful. But I still think they'll want to go out with a win. It's the last game at the stadium.
Yeah.
And there is the possibility that if they get a better result than the Chargers and the Texans, they can leapfrog both. Well, at least one of them, if not both of them, to get that higher seeding. And if weird things happen in the playoffs and the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 seed all gets knocked out, there is a chance that if they're the 5th or 6th seed, they could end up playing a home game in the playoffs if everything just goes to shit. So rather than just like being content to be the 7th seed and just have to sort of go on the road and win all your games, get this win, give yourself a chance at potentially having a home game, and then you get one last final hurrah at the stadium. But like I say, they will rest players, so wait and see. But regardless, we have both gone with the Bills to get the win in this one. We've got the Lions at the Bears. We've both gone with the Bears here. The Bears can't get the number 1 seed. So the lowest they can finish is 3rd. So it's basically 2nd or 3rd seed for Chicago. I think this is another one where I wouldn't be surprised if they keep an eye on what's going on in looks for Philadelphia. Philadelphia played at the same time. If Philly are like up massively against the Commanders and it's close against the Lions, are the Bears going to be that ass to sort of like, to push to keep themselves in it and stuff? I don't know. But we have both gone with the Bears on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions don't put out anyone that's questionable.
Unless they
have incentives in the contract.
Yeah, but if you're the Lions at this point in time, you've got nothing to gain. You might as well send out half a team and just like, you guys you've got incentives, go and get your incentives sorted. Outside of that, the rest of you have a sit down.
True. Next up, we have the Chargers at the Broncos, and obviously the Chargers going into this one knew that if they'd have beaten the Texans last week, they'd have left themselves open to still being in contention for the number 1 seed. That isn't the case. So they've already said that they're going to sit Justin Herbert.
Yep.
Anyone else who's even remotely close to being not 100% will not suit up. And for that reason, I think we might have taken the Broncos anyway, but we have both backed the Broncos for the win here. Next up, we've got the Cardinals at the Rams. Rams are already in. Can't really do any better than the current seeding. Well, like I say, if the 49ers, that will all depend on the result from Saturday. I think if the 49ers have lost, if the 49ers have won, the Rams will probably just rest everybody because there's no reason for them to lose. There's no reason for them to lose any more players, so they'll just take it easy. They'll probably put all the backups in, just get through the game. Either way, we've both come with the Rams to get the win. It doesn't really make any sense for the Cardinals to go for it if they want a decent draft pick. Got the Chiefs at the Raiders, even with no Mahomes, loads of banged up players. We've still gone with the Chiefs because the Raiders are absolutely desperate. We've got the Dolphins at the Patriots, and the Patriots obviously still in with a shout of the number 1 seed, even though the Broncos are playing the Chargers and the Chargers are resting Justin Herbert. So we've gone with the Patriots. We've got the Commanders at the Eagles. We've both gone with the Eagles. Same reason. But even then, I think they'll have one eye on the Bears game. If the Bears are up big, they'll start pulling players. We'll see from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Sunday night football, as we said at the start, it's the Ravens at the Steelers, and it's basically winner takes all.
I mean, of all of those games, that's got Game of the Week written all over it. That could be an absolute barn burner, that one. That has the possibility of being wire to wire.
Absolutely.
You've got a Ravens team that just has not got it going this season, but has still managed to be in a position where if they win this game, they're going in. And you've got the Steelers, who have got Aaron Rodgers, who is just still trying to prove he can get it done. And, for one of a better way of putting it, apparently he can just about still get it done. So that game there is possibly your game of the week. There are so many games where you're like, that game doesn't matter. That game doesn't matter. That game matters less. That game doesn't really, make a change or make a difference. Games could start out well, high scoring, and then you see your fantasy players dropping off the face of the planet, etc. That game there is very much the absolutely everything to play for game.
So there you have it, then. That's your Week 18 slate in full. It's now up to myself and Mr. Cook to try and divvy out some side bet action. So he needs to pick 4 teams. I need to pick 4 teams. Andy is still behind, so needs to decide whether he wants to go first or if he wants to put me into bets.
I saw a game and I was like, if it's me to go first, I might as well just take it straight off the board. But with everything being said, with the fact that they're probably going to want to rest players, etc., etc., etc. However, final game in that stadium potentially, and what makes the most sense is to rest Josh Allen. But with everything else that's going on, I don't know that they will fully rest him. I think the best thing to do is to send him out early, maybe even have him play the first half, and then just get him off the field, like completely off, get him into some sort of like, not quite the medical tent, but get him into like a hot bath, a hot shower, a massage, a cold plunge, whatever it's needed to really start the rest and recuperation process. Having said all that, I will take the Buffalo Bills to beat the New York Jets. I think the Jets have got nothing to play for, which I will point out at this point in time is weirdly when the Jets seem to be the most dangerous. When they have absolutely nothing to play, they've got no reason. They have shit themselves out of number one draft picks more times than you can count. So bear that in mind when next week we're going, well, the Bills lost to the Jets. But for me, straight off, Bills, Jets.
Oh. So that gives me two. I'll start off with the Jags.
I knew you were going straight to the Jags.
And I'll keep it in the division. I'll go for the Texans to beat the Colts. But at this point, Philip Rivers is happy that he's pushed his Hall of Fame induction back by 5 years.
Yeah. Had an emotional departure speech, didn't he? One that I wasn't sure whether you might have picked up. It was a little risky in some ways, but I think I'll take the Bengals to beat the Browns.
Yeah, I'd looked at that one.
Bengals just super dominant. I wish we could have had this version of the Bengals from the start and throughout the season, because I think this picture of this plan would be much different. I expect to see Myles Garrett getting that sack. I think they're gonna. Part of me thinks that the Bengals might be like, look, we'll let you have the sack if you just tap him, don't injure him, sort of situation, and then get him off the field, sort of stuff. But yeah, Bengals to take a win on that one for me. Yeah, there's a couple of dodgy little numbers there. I'm not touching that with anything. That's too close to call. Oh, Cowboys, Giants still in play? Then I
very much so.
The Cowboys to beat the Giants. Not really much going on there, but realistically, the Cowboys should have more than enough to get a win in that game, because as we covered previously, the Giants are terrible. Back to you.
Right, in that case, I will finish us off by taking the Broncos to beat the Chargers. I can't believe we've left that on the table until this late. Knowing full well that the Chargers are not going to be starting anyone. I say decent. That's not what I mean. Not going to be starting anyone that's in danger of getting an injury. And as my last pick, I'll have a little bit of the Eagles.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Yeah, that's another one that we should have taken soon.
Yeah, don't we know we've left that till that late in the show. Yeah, so you have the free run of everything else that's left.
Well, there's absolutely nothing to play for, absolutely nothing to gain other than making some sort of weird statement. Chiefs to beat the Raiders. Raiders gain absolutely nothing from a win. Chiefs get a little bit of something back because obviously everybody's talking shit about them for the way their season has gone. There needs to be a little bit of a statement for we can do it without Mahomes. I've said that week in, week out since Mahomes' injury. Like I say, the Raiders have absolutely no reason to even make an attempt to win that game. It's kind of a freebie in a lot of ways. So, yeah, seems to make a lot of sense.
So, just to clarify, Andy's teams, he has the Bills at home to the Jets, the Bengals at home to the Browns, the Cowboys at the Giants, and the Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders. So 2 home teams, 2 road teams. I've got the Jaguars at home to the Titans, the Texans at home to the Colts, the Broncos at home to the Chargers, and the Eagles at home to the Commanders. Taken 4 home teams there. So we'll see how we get on with that. Obviously, if I get a clean sweep and Andy gets none, I think that might potentially put us at a point where that ends the side.
Yeah, I think it.
I'm not too sure. 7 points is quite a chunk of change, and obviously we moved down to there's only 6 games total next week to be going through. So yeah, we'll have to have a look at it, but. That just leaves us with the bankers and outsiders. It was Mr. Cook's honours this week, and I did have to. At one point, I did see that as an outsider, he did have the Chargers to beat the Broncos. I did tell him about the fact that they were planning on resting some players, so he did change his mind. So his banker, the 2-9 Buffalo Bills to beat the New York Jets. My banker was the 2-5 Dallas Cowboys. Andy's outsider, the 10-3 Cleveland Browns to beat the Bengals. Not a terrible shout. And I've taken the 5-4 Carolina Panthers as my outsider, merely because the Buccaneers are awful, but obviously because the division is still up for grabs. I think the Panthers will probably have a little bit of fight in them, even if it is in Tampa Bay. So, altogether, that little ditty for our pound that we put on has odds of 15.68 to 1. So we'll get back 16.5 quid if it comes in, and then we'll get to roll that onto next week's game. Now, because it's the playoffs, bankers and outsiders might have to change slightly, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and we can have discussions on air as to how we want to take that one moving forward for the playoffs, because that might be a little bit difficult to come up with 4 games that we're happy with. So that's week 18 done and dusted, and I'll just pass you back to Mr. Cook to round us up for the week.
Well, can you believe it? Nearly 18 weeks of football and nearly the end of 2025. Can you believe that? We are mere 26 hours away at this point in time. Time of recording, 26 hours, and we'll be done. We'll be in 2026, the year of getting shredded, as it's dubbed. So, hope you've got your New Year's plans sorted. I hope you've got your games picked. I hope you've got your bets on. I hope this podcast helps you in some way to maybe make a little decision one way or the other, who you think's going to go, who you think's going to the dance. It's all going to get sorted out this week. Join us next week where we look at the week we've just previewed. We've predicted and see how well we did. See if I end up out of the running for the season. And let us know how you got on. We will have a playoff picture to discuss, get real into the minutiae of what the playoffs look like. And we might even try our hand at predicting a Super Bowl. Just, we've got a week of games to look at, see some teams, see what they're putting out there. Any, secret players that have been hiding out. The classic Rob Gronkowski injured for the season turns up for the playoffs, gets it done. Join us next week when we will go through all of that. If you're here, you're thinking, I'll tell you something, this NFL podcast, it's all right. It's all right. But NFL is not just my bag. I like some of the round ball as well. We've got you covered. We have you covered. We have a football podcast. It's already up and live for this week. Delightful. Wrestling. Do you like the wrestling? You like the NFL? You like the round ball? Do you like the wrestling? We've got you covered. The Getting Over podcast here at CookieCast. That'll sort you out. I'm sure there's probably a premium live event coming around the corner. Formula One season is done and dusted for this year, but don't fret. There is a back catalogue. That way you can get ready for next season, because that's coming around the corner faster than a Formula One car. And if you think, I am not tired of listening to that man's voice, you can join me week in, week out on recorded on a Monday, released on a Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I will be talking about stuff that happened in the last week, and there's a little bit of entertainment-based shenanigans. So there we go. That is all of our podcasts and more. Come back next week. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And that way you know when we're going to release the next episode, because it'll tell you. Join us next week for Week 18 football and playoff football. Baby! Until then, bye from him. It's bye from me. And we shall catch you next time. Tatty byes.
So there we go. What do you think of that? Another week of games gone, another week of games to come. It's a sad time when the season starts to draw to a close, but you get playoff football, so, swings and roundabouts. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, do consider clicking a load of buttons. Like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a review where you can leave a review. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. That's it for this week. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode of CookieCast, please like, share and subscribe.